Uh, Now I think it seems that I'm talking here. Now can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, great. Okay, guys. So,
But I
Vipul,
think
like,
the screen is disabled.
yeah, I haven't shared the screen yet.
Okay.
So let's just let me share the screen. Okay, guys. So in the last session, we had a discussion about async JS, that is the asynchronous JavaScript. But I'm going to explain it today. In the today's session, we are going to discuss a bit about async JS and promises and async await. So this is a pretty important concept in JavaScript, and generally a lot of questions are asked in interviews because this is a pretty basic thing that how JavaScript works, pretty standard thing. So these are generally asked quite a lot in the interviews, and this is pretty important session. This is going to be so we will be having a pretty good discussion today. So guys, before starting, let's just let me ask this question to Vipul. Vipul, so what do you what do you when we talk when I say that synchronous and asynchronous, what do you mean by that? What do you understand by that?
Synchronous and synchronous. Like we have a concept in operating system also, like what is synchronous and
No, not in operating system, in JavaScript. In general, synchronous and asynchronous, what we understand with that.
let's say we have running like 3 to 4 threads, and we can
Hmm.
say that if they are communicating to each other and passing information, then they are synchronous, but none of them are waiting for each other, and they are asynchronous.
Okay. Okay, cool. Anyone else anyone else have any idea about synchronous and asynchronous? Let me know who all are there. Deepak, seems like this is your first session. Any idea? Deepak, can you hear me? You can unmute yourself and let me know. Any idea about what is synchronous, asynchronous thing in JavaScript? Okay, no issues. Vipul, do you know JavaScript is synchronous language or asynchronous language?
Asynchronous language.
JavaScript is asynchronous language.
Yes.
So what do you mean by that?
Like it wait for none.
It wait for none.
Like
Okay, great. Okay, guys. Okay, Gaurav, any idea? JavaScript is synchronous or asynchronous language?
JavaScript is a synchronous language, blocking
Mm-hmm.
single threaded. So yeah, and
What do you mean by synchronous language?
synchronous language are where uh, we uh, we go by the thread by line by line, program by program. If there is some task, then program will thread will wait till the task is completed, then it will move to the next task. So synchronous also known as blocking, because it blocks the thread and it do not let it to move further. So the JavaScript is a synchronous language, and asynchronous asynchronous programming is what where we unblock the thread.
Yeah, that's a pretty well explanation. I mean, you have explained it really good. So, people, the thing is that JavaScript is a synchronous language, and what does it means that JavaScript execute the code line by line. Like when my execution is at line number 10, it will first go and execute this whole line, and then it will move to the next line. It won't be it never happens that my code execution is at line number 10, and without fully executed of this particular line the flow reaches to the next line. So in synchronous, these kind of stuff do not happen. So I mean, you can ask then what happens with the blocking statement, just like that Gaurav was saying, that if there is certain statement which is blocking the flow, right? We are waiting for something. Just suppose that we are fetching some data from the APIs, or the we are waiting for a user to enter something. So what happens in those cases, because our execution is getting blocked? So how does the JavaScript handles those cases? Because as Gaurav was saying, that JavaScript is a single thread, and when we say that single thread, that means is that instead of time, it is only one process is running. JavaScript is basically executing single process, right? So like we know that Java is basically a multi-threaded language. So in that case, we can allocate different threads for different execution, right? Different processes. But in JavaScript, we can't do that stuff. So you might have a question that, I mean, this is a pretty straight question that they ask generally in interview, that if JavaScript is a single threaded, then how they handle the blocking statements? Because isn't, I mean, if you have a single thread and you are waiting for some blocking statement, that means your whole execution has stopped. Your whole processing has stopped for that particular time of period, until unless that blocking statement is resolved, right? So that will give, I mean, such kind of languages do not survive. I mean, if you make a program and that program is basically a single user comes in, and the whole program is waiting for the user input and nothing else is happening, right? Some other users came on your platform and he is waiting so that the other user can input something. So this kind of stuffs won't lead to I mean, won't survive. Any such kind of language won't survive in those cases. So of course there should be a way through which JavaScript handle this kind of situation. So any idea how JavaScript handles those stuffs?
Async to wait.
Yeah. Yes. So there is a yeah. So JavaScript basically, as Vipul is saying, that there is something named as async await. We will reach to there. So, but before that, let me explain this thing. In the last session, we had a pretty good discussion over it. I mean, we saw 2 3 examples, but let's just say again. So, people, can you tell me what will be the output of this particular code? What will be the output?
2, 3, and 1.
2 3 and 1. Why?
Just
Earlier I just said that JavaScript is a synchronous language, like Gaurav is saying. So I explained that that means that until unless this line number 8 is executed, my flow won't reach to the next line, and you are saying the output of it will be 2 3 and 1. Why?
because there's a function named as set timeout,
Mm-hmm.
so it won't run until 1000 seconds, milliseconds, and then after the 0 millisecond, and then 3. That doesn't have any set timeout function. Therefore, it was like 3 to 1. Yeah, 2 3 1.
Okay, so the answer your answer is 2 3 1.
Yes.
Okay, Gaurav.
So 3 to 1.
3 2 1.
Yeah.
And why?
So because the set timeout function is there, so
Mm-hmm.
in console.log means third one in
Mm-hmm.
and where 3 is written. So this will execute first, and
Mm-hmm.
then the second statement will execute, according to me.
But why? I mean, I'm passing a 0 second here.
So because set timeout function you have written now, so
Mm-hmm.
so that's why you written 0 there, 0 milliseconds there.
Yes. So I mean, my set timeout is not waiting for even a second. The waiting time is 0. So I mean, supposedly it should basically print 2 3 1. I mean, because we are not waiting for even a single second, millisecond.
So okay, sir. So
Does that make sense? I mean, I think that it does make sense.
sir, according to me, like output must be 3 to 1 only.
Yeah, Gaurav, output will be 3 2 1, but of course it is. But I'm just okay, Gaurav, we will try to understand this thing, right?
No,
So let
I was not talking. That was somebody else.
okay, sorry for that. Sorry for that. So I think Dheeraj was there, right?
No, Deepak is there.
Yeah, Deepak is there. Okay, Deepak. Good.
Okay.
Great. Gaurav, any idea? Why the output is 3 to 1?
Uh, the 3 will be printed out because it is not blocking any, it is outside the timeout function.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, if we are going by line, first we comes on the line number 8, where
Mm-hmm.
it will come inside the function, and it will
Mm-hmm.
see that there is a 1 second lag.
Mm-hmm.
It will not run it.
Mm-hmm.
And then after it will come to line number 9,
Mm-hmm.
and it will check again. There's a function,
Mm-hmm.
but without any time delay.
Mm-hmm.
But it will come to line number 10,
Mm-hmm.
as it is already crossed that line, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then it will run, then it will come back and again run 2, then it will run 1 after the 1 second, I guess, I think.
Okay, Gaurav. Yeah, that's good. That's the way I think. Okay, so guys, so let's just understand that how these stuffs are getting done, right? I just said that JavaScript is a synchronous language. It won't, process the next execution until unless it successfully process that particular line of code, right? So let's just jump in here and try to understand that, right? So this is my call stack. I am at a global execution context, and when my code runs to the line number 8, it finds that there is a set timeout function, right? So set timeout is not a JavaScript function. It is a function, a kind of API which our web browser provides, right? So it uses a web APIs, that is a web browser provide that. So it will say that it will pass that particular set timeout to the web browser, and with their this particular set timeout, it say that okay, let me start the timer, and the flow, the execution will move to the next line. So it found a set timeout, it just passed to the web browser APIs, and the flow, execution moved to the next line, that is set timeout 9, right? And again it basically and already web browser has started the timer, that is here for it is a 1 second, right? So in the next line it again say that okay man, I have one more set timeout for you, so let's take it also. So the web browser takes that also and start the timer. You see that okay, the timer is 0, so the time is up, just there's no, so it will basically add it in the callback queue. Okay, so it will add in the callback view, and here there will be a callback function with a set timeout. This callback function will be added console.log2, right? You saw that we are passing a callback function, and after 1 second, again it say that the time will be up, and web browser will add that particular thing in the callback queue. So this is called a this is basically callback queue. Some people call it callback queue, some people call it event queue also, or task queue. Okay, so why the thing is that and the flow will be moved to the next lines, right? So the moment when the user the JavaScript browser got this particular thing, it send it to the web browser, and the flow of execution moved to the next line. So here it saw that I have to log a 3 on console, so that's why first 3 will be logged, and after and then my global execution context will be ended. So after that it will see that okay, there is nothing in my call stack, there is nothing in the global execution context. So the callback queue will notice that there is nothing in the global execution context, so it will basically pop out the first callback function and add in the global execution context. So this particular callback will be added in the global execution context, and this will get executed, and after that this one is gets executed. So that's why the output will be 3 to 1. So let's just see that what's out. So you saw that the output is 3 to 1, right? So let me explain the whole thing before understand. This is pretty important stuff, so let's just understand how things are getting done, right? So suppose you went to a shopkeeper, you have a I think you have a 3 or 4 thing that you place an order. I mean, you have written 3 4 items, you gave it to the shopkeeper, you said okay man, give me all these stuffs, right? So shopkeeper goes to the first line, he said okay, this thing is there, he just took out from his shop and place it in the at the counter. He moved to the second item and he saw that okay, this particular thing is not there. So he said that okay, this is not there. He called a person, the whoever is working there, and he said that okay, just go from and take this particular item from other shop and come back. So he gave that order to that particular person, and he went there, and he didn't waited for him to come back, right? And he just now he moved to the next item. So he saw that that particular item is there in the shop, so he took out it from the shop and placed it in the counter. Again he saw that he found a item which is not there. So he again called one more worker from his shop, and he said that okay man, go and take this item from another shop. And he just keeps on now he keeps taking out stuff from the next item that you have. Like suppose that you are buying 10 items, right? So in the meanwhile, when the particular when the shopkeeper is giving you eighth item, the person that who went out to take the second item, he came. So he just cannot say that okay man, I have my item. He cannot disturb the shopkeeper in the in between. He will say okay, my shopkeeper, I mean my boss is busy in basically giving your item, so I will wait until he finishes finishes all your orders. I mean he have taken out all your items, right? So he keeps on checking, checking that okay. And suppose in the midway of when the shopkeeper is at task number item number 9, the second person also came. So he just stand beside the first person, and he say that okay, I mean the first person who has came earlier, he will basically give that item to the my boss, and then I will give my item to the boss. But I mean they can't give right now because my boss is busy in giving the items to me to the person who is ordering, right? Suppose you. So after item number 10, the shopkeeper say okay, I have given all the order. Let me say that whether these two items have arrived or not. So the moment he finishes finishes giving you the 10th item, the first person the first person say that boss, I have taken out I have taken the item from the other shop. Now take this and give it to the I mean do whatever you want to, or give this do whatever you want to do, or you can give it to the person who has ordered it, right? So after that, and the second person also say okay, now give it to me, hand over the item to the shopkeeper. So then in the same way you have order, I mean you have ordered 10 item, and you the two item that was not in the shopkeeper, he just basically sent one worker, and they basically bought this item from another shop, and then they have provided it to you, right? So in the same way, this is my global execution con, this is my call stack, right? This is my call stack. So when you write some code out here, when you say that this is a set timeout, you say okay man, this is not my function, this is a web API function. So he just the global execution context say to this browser, okay man, this is your function, just handle this, right? The web browser does whatever stuff it want to do. There is already a logic written there. When the web browser basically finishes executing those stuff, they do not directly give back to the call stack at that particular thing in the global queue. I mean this will hamper, because it might be possible my global call stack is busy executing some other stuff, so they add in a queue, and this callback queue in a sync with the global execution context or the call stack, and it keeps on checking, and this particular queue cannot add directly. So in my call stack there is some execution going on, and this particular thing, the first set timeout timer has ended up, and it is ended in the callback. The second blocking statement also after a particular time gets ended by the web browser, and it just get added in the callback queue. The moment it finds that okay, after executing line number 10, the call stack says okay, there is nothing more to process for me at global level. So it just the callback queue notice this thing, and then it add the then it took out the first callback function, and it add that particular thing in a global execution context, and after that this thing. So that's why the output is coming like 3 2 and 1. So this whole thing is basically, and the loop of the whole thing is called event loop, right? And this is a callback queue, and this is in constant sync with call stack. So the whole loop is called event loop, and this is called callback queue, event queue, or something like that. So I mean the next time, is it clear? First, is it clear? Any questions? Any questions, guys? Cool. So
Like
this is,
I have one. Like,
yeah,
can we see the function definition over of set
fun-
timeout?
function definition of
Set timeout. Like this one.
what you want
The
to
yes, sir. I want to see the implementation of this function. Like you said that this
set.
is not a JavaScript function.
Set timeout is not a JavaScript function. This
Yeah.
is a function which is provided by web browsers.
DOM. Yes, sir. DOM
Yeah.
HTML.
So yeah, you can basically search. I mean, and see that
I
how it
search,
has
but not able to find it.
okay. Let's just see if we can find out or not. Set timeout. I think it is pretty simple. It is going to be pretty this will basically say how set timer it will be interpreted. This is basically a timer function where basically there is some timer APIs
Counter
with
type thing.
yeah, there is some timer APIs with get calls, and they basically notify that it just say that okay, it calls a timer APIs and it passes a time, and after that particular period of time, it just after that particular time gets ended, it just add the callback function that you have send it to the your callback queue.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Anyone else? Anyone else have any questions? And this is a pretty important concept. I mean, every time I mean, some of you have given the interview also. They basically ask this thing because that's the way how JavaScript works behind the scene, how JavaScript engine work in browser. So I mean, you should be knowing this pretty clearly.
Sir, can you elaborate the event loop function? Means
So yeah, so the event loop is basically the loop. So you saw that there are certain things that are getting executed in my global execution context, and the like here we saw that we are getting a set timeout function, so it's sent to the worker web browser, which is a kind of worker thread, you can say, right? There is this concept of worker thread, or there could be a multiple worker thread. Of course, in JavaScript, this is the concept of worker thread. So this is the web browser, so it send that function to the web browser. So whatever they want to do, that particular function want to do, that will be getting handled by the web browser, because this is that because that's an API which is providing by the web browser. So in the same way, that could be other blocking statement. I mean, that could be a input. I mean, user is waiting for the wait for input from the browser, wait for input from the user. So this thing will be sent to that particular worker thread, and then that particular worker thread will do whatever it want to do, and after that particular thing is getting done, so they will basically add the callback function to my callback queue, because I want that whenever that particular thing is happen, I want to basically do some other stuff, right? So I always pass a callback with that particular thing. So the moment the worker threads is finishes that function, they add basically the callback to the my callback queue, and callback queue is in constant in sync with the call stack, so it is constantly checking it does my call stack is empty or not. So the moment the call stack is empty, it will start popping out the callback function from its queue, and then it will start adding it. So this whole loop, this loop of this whole loop is basically called event loop, because we are tracking a full event through it, right? So a single event, that is a set timeout, we wrote that we wrote here. So what was the execution of that particular single event? It was there in the global execution context. The global execution context sent it to the web browser. Web browser performed some things, and then it added the callback function. And then when the callback stack was empty, callback queue popped it out from the queue and added it to the call stack. So you saw that it was there in the call stack, and how it again completed one cycle, and it executed its callback, right? So this whole loop is called event loop. Is it clear now?
yes, sir.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so I hope that now if anyone asked us that what is event loop, what is callback queue, how this basically JavaScript works, handles blocking statement. I mean, you guys should be able to explain them. Just explain using these conditions. I mean, if you explain using these terminologies, and this way, I mean, they will be knowing that you are pretty, your bases are pretty right, pretty strong. Okay, guys. So this is all about asynchronous. But yeah, so we saw that whenever there is a blocking statement, we handle it through the callbacks, right? So there is a terminology named as callback hell. Anyone can tell me what are callback hells?
When there are too many callbacks in the event loop, I think when there is a callback and again it is returning another call, another function, then another, and like that. It keeps extending the lateral returning function, matlab callback ladder kind of thing.
Yeah. So yes, I think Gaurav was that. So yeah, I mean, Gaurav is absolutely right. So basically, right. So suppose this is my function named as hell. It is having receiving two argument, that is data and a function, right? Function user, and that inside that particular function user, this is basically it is receiving data and a one callback function, right? And this particular callback function is receiving two things. One is user, and another is one more callback function. And the callback of user is basically receiving two things, that is one ID and one function, right? So we saw that let me make here. We saw that basically. Okay, right, let me just write it. We saw this is a hell, and hell is basically uh, having a callback function as a function which is basically taking user and one more callback, and that is taking a data, one more callback, right? A function. So we saw there is a nesting of a callback, right? There is a nesting of callbacks. So this kind of stuff, I mean, it will be pretty irritating and pretty tough for any person to understand this line of code, because we are basically passing a callback in callback in we are passing a callback function to a callback function, right? So I mean, this will be pretty tough for anyone to understand. So these are kind of stubs are basically called callback function when there is a 2 or 3 level of nesting of a callbacks. So in order to avoid callback hell, there is something that the developers came up with. Can any one of you tell me what is that something?
Promises.
Yes. So Gaurav is absolutely right. So developers came up with the concept named as promises. So let's just understand what are promises. New promise. Any idea about promises, Gaurav?
Yeah, promises, like uh, uh, we can get the result uh,
Mm-hmm.
after some time
Mm-hmm.
using dot then after below the uh, function or function calling, or below the or calling function.
Okay.
So yeah.
Deepak, any idea? Gyan, Vipul, why 2 is printing for 1 cause why will we false in the queue? Okay, Monica. Guys, if you have any question and I missed the chat, you can basically ask. Please elaborate event loop in the terms of web browser and users couldn't understand well with shopkeepers example. Okay. So guys, if you have any question, you can just unmute yourself and ask, of course. Okay, so let's just first solve that Monica doubt what's and we that will lead to the thing of that. So Monica, what is your doubt? Can you ask again?
So basically, when I mean the first set timeout function goes into the browser, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it finishes up fast and it then goes to the event queue.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be the first thing in the queue, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the thing first, I mean the first one enter is to go out the I mean the thing
Yes.
which enters first will go out first, right?
Yes.
So basically one will print first, right?
No, Monica, the thing is that when the web browser receives that particular set timeout, right? It has a timer of 1 second, right?
Yeah.
So it will wait. The web browser won't add it into the queue until the 1 second is over.
Okay. Okay.
A-
Okay.
Yeah, and the next moment, just after that, I mean, just after that, the second timeout also get received, and it saw that there is no waiting for this, right? So it instantly add that thing in
But
the queue.
I thought what I thought is by the time it goes to the second timeout, the 1 second will be finished and it will
No,
get
no, no, no. There is 1 second is a hell lot of time. I mean, it won't even the flow of this won't take even a 0.01
okay.
millisecond.
Okay. Okay.
There is,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Okay, guys. So, excuse me. Okay, so I think Varun was saying that he was not able to understand the concept of event loop and all with the shopkeeper example. So he want to understand with the concept of this queue. Varun, can you just unmute yourself and again ask a bit with a bit of elaboration what your doubt is exactly?
Actually, I wanted to ask about the shopkeeper's example that you take. I was not able to understand that properly. So,
Mhm.
would you please elaborate the same in terms of browser and how things are working in like real world,
Yeah, yeah,
just
sure, sure, sure.
instead of any example like shopkeeper? That would
Yeah,
be good.
yeah. So Varun, suppose that this is my global execution context, and my JavaScript engine goes and see that there is a line number 8. There is the this set timeout function. So it say that okay, set timeout function is not mine. It will assign it to the web browser. It will say, hey web browser, yeah, this is your APIs. Take this thing, and the flow of program will reach to the. Right now, I'm not discussing what web browser will do. Let's just understand with the JavaScript engine. So now that my JavaScript engine will move to the next line number. It say again I have one set timeout function. This is also not mine function. It will just give it to the web browser. Again at line number 10, it sees that okay, this is console.log. So let me log a 3 here, right? So it will log 3 and it says okay, my job is done. Now the web browser, these two functions that were passed to the web browser, now at this particular line of code, that is the 10, there is nothing in my execution context. JavaScript have nothing in its global execution context. So the moment now let's just understand with the aspect of web browser. Now what web browser APIs will be doing at this moment. So as soon as the JavaScript engine passes the first set timeout, the web browser basically take it and it started the timer with the past millisecond time, right? So it start a timer of 1 second.
As soon
So
as it takes
yeah, yes, as soon as it takes, basically it start the timer, right? So it start the timer. So for this set timeout, the timer has started and it is going on.
in the
Very
browser, right?
yeah, in the browser the next very moment it has received one more set timeout. It say okay, this is one more set timeout, so let me take out the timer for it, and said okay, there is no timer for it. I mean the timer is 0. So let's just what I have to do next. So the next
Hmm.
I have to do is that there will be some callbacks, right? So I have to add that callback to the callback queue. So it will instantly add the callback function to the callback queue, right? And after 1 second the timer will finishes up, so web browser say, okay, the timer for this particular set timer is added, now let me add the callback queue callback function for that particular that this function also. So at this instant moment of time in my callback queue there will be two callback function, the first one will be this one and the second one will be this one, right? And already we saw that there is nothing left in my call stack. My JavaScript engine already finishes the execution, executing it. So as soon as it say that okay, in callback queue, the callback queue say checks and find out that there is nothing there in my global execution in my call stack. So it will add the first callback function, that is this particular one. It will add it, pop it out, and it will add it. And after executing this, it will again the global execution context will be call stack will be empty. So again this after that the callback queue will take out the next callback function, that will be this one, and it will add in my call stack, and then it will basically console log one. So this is the whole way, this whole loop is called event loop, and this is how this things are getting executed behind the scene.
So if I put the console log 3 statement that we have on line number 10,
Mm-hmm.
similarly like we have done in line number line in set timeout function,
Mm-hmm.
and I give the time like 1 second to all, 1000 ms to all.
Okay.
So the answer will be 1 2 3.
Yeah,
mean-
so if you give the same number of same timer, so it will then see that which one was received first, right? So if I give the same like 1 second of time to all these three, if I put this also in a caller function, so then it will see that which one was received first, and in that sequence it will be added in the queue.
And in that sequence, according to the queue, that will now come into the global console.
Yes, and the output will be output will be like that. Like if I log print this, it will be logging 312.
What if I change in the current scenario, I change that second line number 9 and change the time to like 900, then it will be
900
like
or 9,000.
900,
Okay.
then it will still be 3 to 1.
No. Yeah, it will be of course 3 to 1 because the 900 is less than 1,000, right?
And if we do 8000,
Let's see. Let's see.
that
Let's see. 3 to 1.
okay, to 1. And 800 to the 8th line.
Let's just make it 800.
800 is fine, but 800. Okay, don't execute, don't show the answer, please. Let me see what it should be. It should be 312, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it doesn't matter when we are sending it, it will,
You saw 312.
yeah, 312. Okay, fine, fine. I
Clear?
think, yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So what I meant with the shopkeeper example is also that, I mean, this item is not in my shop, so it will ask some worker thread to do that, take this, but I mean, to basically take that item from another shop and then give it to me. So that's the thing.
So
Okay,
worker
guys.
will definitely take that much time minimum, right?
Yeah, this
Even
is
if
a
I'm
timer. This is a timer.
even if I'm giving 0 0 in the first two statements like 8 or 9, even then it will be executed after printing 3, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
as they come in the queue, like obviously
yes,
the 8 number statement will come first in the queue
yes,
after
yes,
3 is printed. Okay,
yes,
okay.
yes. Let's just do that. Let's just give it a 0 and 0. So we
So
saw
it
that the
will be
output
312.
will be 312.
It should be 312, right?
Yes, 312.
Okay.
Is it clear, guys? This particular thing is clear to everyone?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So basically, I mean, guys, if you have any doubt, you can basically unmute yourself and ask, because of course I'm using the same stuff, so it will be I may be missing the things out here. So let's just move to the promises. Let's just okay, I was in console, of course. So I was asking that what are promises. Okay, so this is a promise of
एक बार सर कॉल बैक फिर से कर लेते हैं. I have lot of doubts regarding callback.
callback hell और callbacks.
Simple callbacks.
हाँ, क्या डाउट है?
मतलब एज अ फंक्शन हम भेजते हैं ना उसमें, तो एक बार आप कंसेप्ट एक्सप्लेन कर दो प्लीज.
अच्छा, ठीक है. तो कॉलबैक्स हम तब भेजते हैं जनरली जब हमको एक इवेंट ट्रिगर करते हैं और हमें पता नहीं होती कि वो कंप्लीट कब होने वाली है. ठीक है, तो मुझे कुछ काम करने हैं वो इवेंट कंप्लीट होने पे, तो मैं उस काम को कब करूंगा, मुझे तो अभी पता नहीं है कि मैं कब करूंगा, तो मैं उसको कॉल बैक में डाल देता हूँ कि हे आई वांट दिस टू हैपन एंड आफ्टर व्हेन दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग इज हैपन आई वांट टू परफॉर्म दिस एक्शन. So we add a callback with that thing. So in JavaScript everything is kind of event, so mostly you might have seen that we add a callback function whenever we basically write any event, whenever we basically write any function which we meant to be performing an event. Like if you are calling in APIs, you are basically waiting for, you're reading a file, or you are basically deleting a file, you are accessing some other devices, right? So if there is anything that is kind of I mean asynchronous, so you don't know basically when that particular thing is going to be completed, so you basically, and you want to do some stuff, so you basically add your stuff, whatever your logic action that you want to do. Once that particular thing gets done, you basically pass that in a callback, and because when the worker thread completed that action or that function, that event is completed, it that basically take out the a callback and it add in your callback function, and then you will be knowing that okay, that particular thing has been completed and I have to execute that callback. So I mean there should be a logic, a concrete solution that's why they basically came up with this solution of having a something named as event loop and the stuff of callback queue, right? So whoever
Yes
was,
sir.
is it clear now what is callback?
Yes.
Yeah, fine.
So can
Okay
we
guys.
take like give pass arguments to the callback as well? Yes.
Yes, callback. Yeah, of course. Callbacks are generally like actions or a function. You can say a function that you want to do execute the moment that particular event is getting completed. So you can pass argument, you can do anything, whatever you want to. I mean, giving the fact that there is a whatever you want to do is present. I mean, you want to access any variable or an argument or pass execute some other action using callback. So giving the fact that particular action will be there in your scope.
Like I want to fire an particular method, like I'm fetching some data using an API,
Mhm.
and after that I want to know that what number of I
Yes.
received an array and I want to know the length of the array after
Mm-hmm.
completing that particular API request.
Mm-hmm.
And I also want to check something related to some user which is present in the array.
Mm-hmm.
So I also need to send that user data in that particular function.
Mm-hmm.
So can I send that user in that callback as an argument?
Yes, I mean, so that particular callback will be fired when you were able to successfully fetch the data from API, right?
Yes. And I
So
will, like, I'm fetching some data using an API,
yes,
and I will get some result, of course, if that
yes,
API hit is successful.
yes,
Then I want to match some users data which I already have
yes,
to the from the to the result that I will receive after hitting the API.
yes,
So
yes, yes. Of course, you can do
I
that.
I would need to send the user as an argument in that function where I will get the result, right?
Yes, yes,
So is it possible that
yes.
I
Of
can
course,
send user as an argument
yes,
in a
yes.
callback function?
Of course, you can. You can basically. I mean, here you will be. Let's just. So suppose this is your fetch function, and this when this is successful, you will be receiving the user here as in first argument, and this is your function. So inside this function, you can access the user details, whatever you want to do with this user. right? So in your callback function, you can do any stuff that you want to do with your user, because this particular thing is when this particular thing will be fire, you will be having the access of user thing, so you can do any stuff that you want to do. Is it clear?
Okay, I will ask separately. I think I'm not able to explain it properly.
Okay, no. Maybe with promises, your doubt will be resolved. Okay, guys. So let's just move to the promises stuff. I think your Dheeraj or Gyan. What was your name? I just missed your name.
My name, I was
Yeah.
asking about the callbacks, Varun.
Okay, Varun. Okay, Varun. So let's just discuss the promises, and I hope that will give you a bit more clarity about these stuffs. Okay, guys. So, Varun, any idea about promises?
Yeah, promises are the solutions to prevent callback hell.
Yeah.
So in the promise, we get two things: either promise is successful or failed. So we accordingly deal with that, and pretty easy syntax as well. Promise dot then. If it's successful, then runs. If it's not, uh, then we run the according to the status, and we can also use dot catch for catching an error during a promise.
Yes. Okay, so I mean, Gyan has already told you promises. So let's just understand basically. I mean, you guys, most of you guys are already knowing what are promises, but let's just understand with the what is basically promises. So suppose that most of you have went to Domino's. So whenever you went there and ordered, place your order, they basically give you a token number, and they just say that they do not give the instant, they do not give you the your basically pizza directly. They will give you a token number, and then they say that okay, just go and wait there, and your token number will be displayed on the screen, and after that we will serve your order, right? So you are basically, you have received a token that is a promise from the Domino's that okay, your order has been placed, we won't be delivering the order right just right, we won't be serving it just now, but you have a token number, and we promise, I mean, after a particular period of time, we will be basically serving your pizza. In some other cases, if they fail to do that, they will be, I mean, you will be knowing that okay, they were not able to deliver that. So in the same way, promises are the objects in JavaScript which basically promise you to return a value. So that value can be either it will be resolve or reject. So in the case that if your request or anything, the event has been successfully resolved, then it will basically return your resolve, and if it's got any error, so it will basically reject it. So basically why they invented the promises, we already discussed. There is something called was something named as callback hell was the problem. So the solution that came was that we can basically do some kind of chaining, that if my first event get executed, I will do the second event, and then if the second event get executed, I will do this third event, and if any of the event gets any error and it failed, then I can basically do knowing that my request, one of the requests has failed, so I can basically take catch that error in somewhere, and then I can basically do whatever I want to do with that particular error. So in that way, we will be basically uh, resolving the problem of callback hell. So you saw that I created an object with using the new keyword, that is the new promise, and we are getting three things here. That one is that underscore proto, and one thing is promise status and promise value. So you saw that as of now, my promise status is pending, and the promise value is undefined. So Gaurav was saying that there is something named as then and catch. So what is that? So if you see, there is nothing named as dot then and dot. There is no property named as then and catch. So anyone have any idea where those then and catches are? Yes, Weber, you are right. So Gaurav, idea? Any idea? Yes, Gaurav.
Yeah, we use then with the object name. Where is object here? Promise. So we will use. Oh, sorry. After the function finishing, so I think we will use dot then.
Like I can use promise dot then, and it is saying returning me a function, right?
Yeah.
So where is, I mean, I can't see anything here, right here. It is only having three things. So where can be dot then?
Uh, I'm not able to understand what are you asking. Are you asking that where then present? Where is
Yes,
the existence of then?
yes.
Where is then presents?
Where
Okay,
is then function? Where is then function?
okay. So, okay,
There is
well,
something named as catch also.
yeah. Well,
Where is this?
mm, so
Okay, Gaurav, I think you haven't attended the previous session, so you might be missing some stuff. So let me ask this to Monica. Monica, where is this then and catch coming? We saw that only there is only three thing out here. There is promise status, promise value, and something named underscore proto.
When promise returns, we can use then and catch. Right?
Yeah, of course that we can use. These are the functions, but where, I mean, we saw this is the I printed this promise, right? This is an object. So in my object, there is no property named as then or catch, and I'm accessing promise dot then or promise dot catch. So where and it is returning me a function, a native code. You saw f function catch native code where these functions are residing. Of course, these are residing somewhere in the object itself, promises itself. So where these are, I mean, if you have attended the last sessions, we saw that if there is nothing in my
are they
current.
inside prototype? Proto?
Yeah, Gaurav, these are basically inside prototypes. So we saw that, I mean, in the last session, that if there is nothing in my current scope, my JavaScript engine will go and check that particular thing in my prototype, right? And this underscore proto is basically nothing but the link is to that place where all these functions are there, where my prototype object is there, right? So you saw that by default, if in normal cases, the prototype. Let's just make this one, right? Let me make a uh, obj is equal to new object, and if I print obj, and it will be having a proto also, and we saw that the prototype will be basically having a single thing, the constructor, and these are the values that are residing there, right? That is set proto, get proto, to values, is prototype, lookup, getter, and this has one property. So in the same way, I mean, we saw here in my prototype we have then and catch, and we have a finally also, right? So that's why, so these functions are basically in promises, they have basically added this then and catch in their prototype, because these are the common functions that they want, that should be present across all the objects, promises object. So that's why they have created, I mean, in the last session, in the previous session, in the prototype session, I have already explained that what is the use case of prototypes, and why the prototypes are used in JavaScript, and why the JavaScript engine uses prototypes. So we already saw that in JavaScript objects, the JavaScript do not want that it should create a separate copy of the function whenever an object is created. So they place those functions in the prototype, and all the objects are having the reference to this place where these functions are, and the reference is underscore proto, and these are more prototype, this then and catch, and finally prototype are nothing but simple JavaScript objects that are basically residing somewhere, and we have a reference to it using underscore proto, so that all the objects do not create a copy of all this function, but it will be having access to this function. So okay guys, so is it clear, Gaurav, clear now?
Yeah.
Everyone clear? Monica, clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay guys, so let me print promises here again. Just clear it. So if I print promises here, we saw that our status is pending, right? So now, and the value is undefined. So now let's just do one thing, is that let's just create a promise again here, and in callback function, let's just pass resolve and reject, or reject, and here just let's just call our resolve function. Right, and now let's see promises, right? So if we see now, we see that promises status is resolved and promise value is undefined, right? So any idea about from where this promises value are coming? And if I have to pass any value, where I have to pass that value? Anyone? Rahul?
हेलो अंशु, हाँ एक बार दोबारा बोल लो.
Yeah. Rahul, the question is that I want to access the promises value. So where should I pass those values so that I can access it?
You want to access the promise value?
Yeah.
Where should you pass it?
आई मीन ये प्रॉमिस जो वैल्यू प्रॉपर्टी है, ये किसकी वैल्यू लेती है, कहाँ से लेती है वैल्यू? अगर वैल्यू लेती है तो इसकी अभी अनडिफाइंड आ रही है क्योंकि हम पास नहीं कर रहे उसको. तो अगर मैं
अच्छा,
कहाँ वैल्यू पास करूँ ताकि यहाँ पे अपडेट हो जाए
वो तुम उसके पैरामीटर्स में पास करोगे ना promise के.
Result, I guess. I don't know. Promise
Result.
dot result.
promise dot result और resolve?
Resolve और reject जो होता नहीं है उसमें करोगे ना, resolve में पास करोगे.
हेलो.
हाँ
resolve में वैल्यू पास करोगे.
हम इसको आई थिंक रिजॉल्व के अंदर पास, बिकॉज अभी हम रिजॉल्व फंक्शन के अंदर जो भी वैल्यू होगी वो जस्ट प्रॉमिस का स्टेटस होगा, वही प्रॉमिस की वैल्यू होगी. तो आई थिंक अभी हमने स्टेटस को रिजॉल्व किया है तो हमें वैल्यू जो भी रिजॉल्व के अंदर रिजॉल्व फंक्शन के अंदर वैल्यू पास होगी आर्गुमेंट्स के फॉर्म में, वही हमारी प्रॉमिस की.
यस, यू आर एब्सोल्युटली, you guys are absolutely right. So हम जो भी रिजॉल्व के टाइम पे पास करते हैं वैल्यू, वो प्रॉमिस की वैल्यू हमें यहाँ पे अपडेट हो जाती है. So let's just do one thing. Let's just try to reject it and let's see what is coming with that. Any idea what will happen?
Promise pending हो जाएगा.
The status might change to reject and the value will be according to that, whatever we are passing inside the reject function.
Yeah, no, it will basically throw an error. It will throw an error. It will always throw an error. If you call reject, it will instantly throw an error because it has been rejected. So it will basically these are things. These are basically console.error kind of thing. Those are logged. So that's okay. That's fine perfectly. So let's just understand now that where we use promises, right? So suppose that we generally, I mean, most of you guys have used fetch, right? This fetch thing. Have you guys used it? I mean, you guys have used fetch, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's just use that was API, dog APIs. So these fetch API function is basically a returns a promise. Right, so we all know that the first argument is nothing but the URL, and then after that I can use something like dot then, right? Dot then, and here let's just try to console log. So dot then is basically so this is a promise, and we can use it basically say that either your request will be either rejected or resolved. So if it will be resolved, my flow will become to dot then. If there is any whatever I want to do, I can write in my dot then thing, right? I can basically do this chaining also. I can basically do this chaining also, right? Dot then. So these are basically the chaining, whatever stuff that I want to do after the first request get resolved, I can write here. And if it just get any at any instant, if it's get failed, I can basically catch. I can use a catch block, and I can basically catch that inside here, right? So let's just first pass a callback function in our dot then, and let's just try to see that what is coming here, right? So let's just console. I mean, let's just receive response here and try to log response, right? So you saw that we return promises that is pending, and after a certain period of time it return that our response. And we saw that the status is 200, the URL is this, there is status tags, and so there is some other stuff coming out, right? So let's just do that one more dot then, and try to convert it into JSON. And yeah, here let's just convert it into JSON, our response, and after that we will be reading the data also. So let's just say response.json, and then here I will be receiving the data, and let's just log the data. Right, so the data that we are getting is basically a message with this is basically nothing but the address of that image, that the data we are getting, and a status remain success, right? So this is nothing a promise that our fetch basically take a URL, and it basically returns if it get resolved, so it return something, and basically I can do dot then, and I can do whatever I want to do after in that particular thing. So here basically we are, if you see that without promises, if we want to do, we will be performing two nesting callbacks, right? But here we don't have to nest any callbacks. Here we can basically write a simple dot then chain, and we can basically do our steps, right? So these are the use cases where I want to do some blocking statement, but I want to instantly I want to do some stuff over it, right? So here basically I have to call this URL, and whatever the data this API will be giving, I have to do I want to read it, and I want to display it over my console. So we saw that we can do that using promises with the pretty simple, and this thing is pretty readable. These things are pretty readable, and that's the solution of callback has, that promises does it. But you saw there is some issue with that particular line of code also, that led to the discovery of something named as async await. So anyone can figure out that what is the stuff?
That it keeps on chaining the dot then and dot then. If we have to add more function, more callback, then it will get dot then, I guess.
Yeah, okay, so let me just explain you guys one more thing here, that is pretty important concept. So let's just see promises dot then, it will receive a callback, and let's just print out console.log hey, and then use catch, and then pass a callback, and then log console.log hey, I am error, right? So you saw that these basically our promises are getting rejected. So these things are our catch block is basically catching, our catch block is getting executed, right? Right. So but if what if I do this, if I use one more than after catch, if I pass this, right, console.log and say hey, I am then after catch, what do you think, what will be the output, Gaurav?
I don't think the last then will be
Hello,
executed.
Anshu.
Yes,
Hello.
Rahul. Yes,
मैं कह रहा
Rahul?
था यार वो स्क्रैच जेएस में लिखो ना, जब तुम्हारे पास है वो टूल, तो ऐसे थोड़ा कंफ्यूज लग रहा है।
ठीक है राहुल, मतलब ये तो सिंगल ही लाइन है तो चल जाएगी, इसमें बाकी लिख
हाँ, वो
लेंगे।
तो
ठीक है, तो मतलब ये है राहुल,
ठीक।
ये है कि मैं प्रॉमिस को रिजेक्ट कर रहा हूँ यहाँ पे, और जो कि
हाँ
अगर प्रॉमिस रिजेक्ट होती है तो हमें पता है वो कैच में जाती है,
हाँ, वो तो है, कैच में जाती है।
बट मैं यहाँ पे ट्रिक ये कर रहा हूँ, मैं कैच के बाद देन लगा रहा हूँ।
हाँ
नहीं
अच्छा, तो
चलेगा,
कैच,
नहीं चलेगा
एक
देन।
सेकंड रुको, मैं बताता हूँ। कैच के बाद देन ये हाई प्रिंट करेगा, उसके बाद हाई एम, देन आफ्टर कैच। मेरे को लगता है ये हाई और हाई एम आफ्टर द कैच शायद प्रिंट करेगा,
नहीं, यहाँ पे तो
या
रिजेक्ट हो
बस
रही है
हाई
ना,
प्रिंट करेगा।
हाई नहीं है, मतलब कौन सा हे आई मेरा करेगा, हे करेगा, क्या करेगा?
हाई।
अच्छा ठीक है, ठीक है, बट ये तो रिजेक्ट हो रही है ना, तो ये देन में कैसे? अच्छा ठीक है,
तो ये रिजेक्ट कहाँ हो रही है? तुम तो बस प्रॉमिस डॉट देन लिखा है।
अरे रिजेक्ट किया ना यहाँ पे प्रॉमिस ऊपर, ये प्रॉमिस जो
कहाँ पे?
वेरिएबल है
अच्छा,
यहाँ पे रिजेक्ट
रिजॉल्व
कर
डॉट
रहा हूँ।
रिजेक्ट, अच्छा हाँ, रिजेक्ट कर दो, सॉरी, हाई एम एरर आएगा।
ठीक, मोनिका क्या प्रिंट होगा? अल्टीमेटली क्वेश्चन ये है कि ultimately the question is that if I put a dot then after catch, then does dot then that dot then executes or not? So what will be the output?
एग्जीक्यूट,
I
आई
think
थिंक इट्स
no.
एग्जीक्यूट होगा, मुझे लगता है होगा।
Okay, Babo,
आई थिंक एग्जीक्यूट नहीं होगा,
और वो क्यों नहीं होनी चाहिए?
बिकॉज हमने जब प्रॉमिस कैच बिकॉज हमने जब प्रॉमिस को कैच कर लिया है तो वो चीज वहीं पे उसी टाइम स्टॉप हो जाएगी, आगे फर्दर एग्जीक्यूशन आई डोंट थिंक कि होगा।
ठीक है, और कोई है यहाँ पे? वरुण?
प्रॉमिस से वहां से सेंड ही नहीं कर रहे
अग्री
हैं।
करता हूँ मैं, मुझे नहीं लगता कैच के बाद कुछ और एग्जीक्यूट होना चाहिए।
ठीक है,
कैच के बाद
तो
सिर्फ फाइनली एग्जीक्यूट हो सकता है आई गेस, या फिर वो भी पता नहीं, मतलब यहाँ डाउट है मुझे फाइनली वाले में, बट देन तो नहीं होना चाहिए।
अच्छा, अगर हम ऊपर जो प्रॉमिस क्रिएट करा है उसमें भी दोबारा हम एक और कॉल बैक सेंड कर रहे होते तो क्या वो उसमें तब ये कॉल करता?
किसमें कॉल बैक पास करते? यहाँ पे?
मतलब यहाँ कर सकते हैं।
यहाँ यहाँ पे तो हम कुछ भी कर सकते हैं पॉल, मैं यहाँ पे सिंपली रिजेक्ट कर रहा हूँ, काफी स्टैंडर्ड काफी बेसिक रखने के लिए मैं सिंपल
तो
रिजेक्ट कर दिया।
अगर इसके अंदर दोबारा में कॉल बैक दोबारा वो रिटर्न पास करते तो क्या ये डॉट देन तब एग्जीक्यूट होता इसमें?
कॉल बैक पास करते और फिर तुम उसको रिजेक्ट या रिजॉल्व करते तो ऑब्वियसली एग्जीक्यूट करता वो।
ओके ओके, तो फिर मैं ये पूछ रहा हूँ चलो ठीक है, ओके ओके।
पूछ लो, नहीं पूछ लो, क्या डाउट है?
नहीं फिर वो ये जो एरर के बाद जो डॉट देन है तभी एग्जीक्यूट करता है कि नहीं करता?
नहीं,
क्योंकि
ये तो यार ये स्टैंडर्ड क्वेश्चन है, ये तो हर बार रिजेक्ट, ये दो चीज हो सकती है इसका, आइदर अगर तुम्हारा प्रॉमिस रिजॉल्व हुआ है तब ये कैच के बाद जानी चाहिए फ्लो की नहीं जानी चाहिए, और अगर रिजेक्ट हुआ है तो कैच के बाद वाली देन चलती है कि नहीं, ये स्टैंडर्ड क्वेश्चन है, और ये जो जो आउटपुट इसका होने वाला है वो सब में सेम होने वाला है।
ओके ओके,
तो आई थिंक ये वाला क्वेश्चन ना अपने रिएक्ट के कोर्स में पढ़ा हुआ है, अगर तुम लोगों ने दिया होगा किसी ने, तो वो प्रोमिसेस वाले में पढ़ा हुआ है ये एमसीक्यू टाइप में। ठीक है, तो ये यार इसकी कैच के बाद देन चल जाएगी।
तो ये वर्क करेगा ये? ओके ओके,
यस यस, ठीक है, तो एक और चीज यूज
पूछ
कर
सकते
लेते हैं,
हैं?
चलो अब मैं बताता हूँ क्यों चलती है। एक और चीज कर लेते हैं अब ना, अब की बार अपन इसको रिजॉल्व कर देते हैं, और फिर देखते हैं कि रिजॉल्व करने पे क्या होती है, वो डॉट देन चलती है कैच के बाद वाली या नहीं चलेगी। व्हाट डू यू थिंक नाउ?
टोटली कंफ्यूज्ड।
ये भी चलना
अब
चाहिए
जब
फिर
वो
तो।
चलना चाहिए ना, हाँ। अगर स्टैंड वो कह रहे हो आप कि उसमें भी चलेगा, स्टैंडर्ड है तो
नहीं चला,
रन करेगा।
कैच क्यों नहीं
चला,
चला सर?
कैच नहीं चलेगा क्योंकि कैच में रिजेक्ट नहीं हुआ ना।
ओके,
तो
तो
तो गाइस ये
रिजॉल्व
नोट,
मतलब ये
ये
हमेशा ही उस मतलब एक रिजॉल्व करने के बाद वो नेक्स्ट उस पे जंप कर जाएगा ऑटोमेटिकली?
कैच पे नहीं जाएगा क्योंकि कैच सिर्फ तभी चलता है जब एरर आती है, रिजेक्ट होती है।
नहीं, मैं ये कह रहा हूँ जो डॉट देन है इसके जो
हाँ
इसके बाहर है, तो तो ये तो
हाँ
वही है ना इसकी डॉट देन जो नेक्स्ट वाला जिसमें हे आई एम देयर आफ्टर कैच, तो
हाँ
ये हमेशा ही करे इसके, ये रिजॉल्व और उस पे नहीं डिपेंड करेगा ना।
नहीं, अगर मैं यहाँ से डॉट कैच हटा देता और डॉट कैच बाद में लगाता तब ये नहीं चलता, और तब अगर रिजेक्ट होती तो ये नहीं चलती है आई एम आफ्टर कैच।
तो ये सिंक्रोनाइज टाइप के में रन करा ना फिर तो ये ऐसे।
हाँ हाँ, ये तो यहाँ पर हम लोग डॉट देन या डॉट कैच लगा रहे हैं, ये तो मतलब जब ये वाली फंक्शन यूज करेगी तब ये दोनों एग्जीक्यूट हो चुकी होती है।
ओके।
मतलब ये प्रोमिसेस का कॉन्सेप्ट ही इसलिए है क्योंकि ये कॉल, ये समझ लो कि नेस्टेड कॉल बैक्स है, बट यहाँ पे हम लोगों ने चेंज कर दिया इसको डॉट देन डॉट कैच लगा के। मतलब मुझे जब ये प्रॉमिस रिजॉल्व होगी या रिजेक्ट होगी मुझे भी नहीं पता, मैंने एक रिक्वेस्ट इवेंट ट्रिगर किया है, अगर वो सक्सेस हो गया तो मैं जो भी काम करना है वो डॉट देन वाले में लगा लूंगा, और अगर वो फेल हो गया तो जो भी काम करनी है मैं कैच के बाद लगा लूंगा।
तो कॉल
ठीक
बैक
है।
की तरह ही चल रहा है बट
हाँ
तरीका अलग तरीके लिखने से,
हाँ,
कोड
तरीका अलग है,
ओके।
कोड अलग तरीके से लिख दिया मैंने डॉट देन डॉट कैच, क्योंकि ये रीडेबल है, मोर रीडेबल है, मोर अंडरस्टैंडिंग है।
बाकी सेम ही प्रोसेस है। ओके
हाँ बट
नहीं
ये
अंशु,
ध्यान
एक
रखना।
मिनट
हाँ वैभव बोलो।
मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि सपोज अगर हम रिजॉल्व फंक्शन के अंदर हम
हाँ,
एक और कॉल बैक दे करके उसको रिजेक्ट कर दें तो।
रिजॉल्व के अंदर,
हाँ
रिजॉल्व के अंदर तो यार रिजॉल्व कर देना, तुमने रिजॉल्व फंक्शन है जो तुमने यहाँ पे रिसीव किया, फिर तुम रिजॉल्व कॉल कर दे रहे हो, अब रिजॉल्व के अंदर जो भी पास करोगे वो वैल्यू में जाएगी।
नहीं, अगर हम रिजॉल्व के अंदर एक और प्रॉमिस डाल दें तो ये रिजॉल्व भी तो एक फंक्शन की तरह वर्क करेगा ना यहाँ पे।
एक और प्रॉमिस डालने को बोल रहे हो?
हम्म
चलो देख लेते हैं। तो ये वाली क्या होगी कि अगर ये रिजॉल्व हो जाती है, हाँ ये इंटरेस्टिंग चीज है, देख लेते हैं। रिजॉल्व रिजेक्ट एंड इसको रिजेक्ट कर रहे हैं, तो ये यहाँ पे कुछ सिंटेक्स का तो एरर नहीं आएगा ना? एक बचा हुआ है। ओके रुको, इसको ना कॉपी करके वहां पे डालता हूँ स्क्रैच जेएस पे। ठीक है, न्यू प्रॉमिस, ये वाली ब्रैकेट, ये री कॉल बैक रिसीव हो रही है, यहाँ पे मैंने इसको रिजॉल्व कर दिया, रिजॉल्व वाले में मैं एक न्यू प्रॉमिस भेज रहा हूँ और उसको मैं यहाँ पे रिजेक्ट कर दे रहा हूँ, ये वाली यहाँ पे खत्म होगी, ये वाली यहाँ पे खत्म होगी,
अच्छा
एंड ये वाली यहाँ पे खत्म होगी। आई थिंक अब चल जाएगी। रुक जाओ रुक जाओ रुक जाओ, मिसिंग आफ्टर, अरे यार एक मिनट गाइस, लेट्स जस्ट सी देयर इज सम सिंटैक्स एरर कमिंग। इसको ऐसे कर लेते हैं। So this is my callback function, and then let's just wrap this. Yeah, and now let's just call resolve. Let's just call resolve here, and inside resolve
स्क्रैच
let's
में तो
just,
हम एंटर मार सकते हैं ना, नीचे ले आते हैं, एक
हाँ
लाइन में
चलो
क्यों लिखना।
नीचे ले आते हैं, हाँ सही रहेगा। यहाँ पे कर देता हूँ न्यू प्रॉमिस, एंड यहाँ पे resolve रिजेक्ट, इसकी वो बनेगी, ये मैंने एक वो मिस कर दिया।
तो कॉल
यहाँ
बैक
पर
होगा ना उसके अंदर।
हाँ ये रही इसकी रिजेक्ट, ये बंद होगी।
नहीं, हमने इस प्रॉमिस के लिए कॉल बैक के लिए वो
ठीक है, अब
एक्स्ट्रा
ये तो
एरो
पैरेंथेसिस
फंक्शन
है करली
एरो
वाले के
फंक्शन
आगे,
एरो फंक्शन
मतलब पीछे, मतलब लेफ्ट साइड में,
ये वाली,
नहीं इससे लेफ्ट में,
ये वाली,
इससे राइट
ये
में
वाली,
एक पैरेंथेसिस एक्स्ट्रा है आई गेस।
नहीं यार सही है, देखो ये वाली पैरेंथेसिस, ये वाली तो इस वाली की हो गई, ये वाली जो है,
हम्म
ये वाली इसकी होगी ना, एक मिनट रुक जाओ, ये ब्रैकेट कहाँ बंद हो रहा है, ये यहाँ पे बंद हो रहा है, ये रिजेक्ट मैं यहाँ पे कर रहा हूँ, और इसके बाद अच्छा हाँ ठीक है, इस ब्रैकेट को बंद करने पे ये पेरेंथेसिस डालनी पड़ेगी।
हाँ
अभी ये वाली
नेक्स्ट वाला प्रॉमिस को हमने एरो फंक्शन भी बनाया, यहाँ पे रिजेक्ट हुआ है।
एक मिनट रुक जाओ, एक मिनट रुक जाओ, ये यहाँ पे होगी, फिर ये वाली नहीं आनी चाहिए। हाँ क्या बोल रहे थे तुम?
मैं कह रहा हूँ कि हमने जो नया प्रॉमिस बनाया रिजॉल्व के अंदर, वो रिजेक्ट को हमने कॉल बैक नहीं बनाया, वो एरो फंक्शन नहीं डिक्लेयर करा।
ये
मैंने उस दिन
रिजेक्ट
वाला
को,
समझ
एरो
हाँ
एरो
वो
फंक्शन का
एरो
एरो मिस रहा है अभी।
ओके 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 हाँ
ठीक है।
मोल फॉर्म एरो फंक्शन पैरामीटर लिस्ट।
स्क्रैच में ही आ जाता है अब तो कंसोल, आप एस्केप दबाओगे ना तो वहीं कंसोल दिखाने लगेगा। थोड़ा सा नीचे कर लो इसको, हाँ बढ़िया।
ये क्या देगा, मोल फॉर्म एरो फंक्शन पैरामीटर लिस्ट, ये तो सही कर रहे हैं हम लोग। रुको एक काम करते हैं, इसको सिंपल पहले वो करते हैं, ये मेरी तो चलनी चाहिए है ना। अच्छा यहाँ पे प्रॉमिस नहीं लिखा ना नीचे, कंसोल डॉट लॉग प्रॉमिस, ठीक है ये तो चल रहा है। अब इसमें ये ऊपर लिख देता हूँ और उसको यहाँ पे पास कर दूंगा, where promise to new promise इसमें रिसीव होगा रिजॉल्व रिजेक्ट, और अपन इसमें कॉल कर देते हैं रिजेक्ट को, ठीक है, और इसको पास करते हैं promise to को, promise to। Let's just copy paste so that we don't miss anything. Okay guys, now let's just try to see. Okay, so you saw that ये एरर आ गया बेसिकली रिजेक्टेड का, तो ये रिजेक्ट हो जाएगा, अगर एक भी किसी ने रिजेक्ट किया तो रिजेक्ट हो जाएगा।
ओके, मतलब हम प्रॉमिस के अंदर दूसरे प्रॉमिस पास कर सकते हैं।
यस एब्सोल्युटली,
ओके
इसको अगर मैं
तो
रिजॉल्व
मतलब
करूँ
वो
तो रिजॉल्व हो जाएगा।
नहीं अच्छा अच्छा, इनसे एक बात और पूछनी थी। अच्छा ठीक है, हमने मान लो कि हमने सेकंड प्रॉमिस को हमने रिजेक्ट कर दिया।
हाँ हाँ
हाँ, उसके बाद अगर हम मान लो हमने आज के आगे भी अगर 2 या 3 प्रॉमिस और थे, तो वो सेकंड के बाद वो दूसरा थर्ड प्रॉमिस एग्जीक्यूट होगा कि वो सेकंड के बाद एरर
नहीं यार,
कर देगा?
मतलब देखो देखो अल्टीमेटली क्या है कि क्या मुझे ये वाली प्रॉमिस मुझे क्या रिटर्न कर रही है, ठीक है,
हम्म,
तो ये किस पे डिपेंड है, ये प्रॉमिस 2 पे डिपेंड है,
हम्म,
ठीक है। तो अगर किसी भी प्रॉमिस चेन में एक जगह पे रिजेक्ट आ जाती है तो वो रिजेक्ट हो जाती है, अगर तुम पहले वाले को रिजॉल्व भी कॉल किए हो तो। समझ में मैं क्या बोल
मतलब
रहा
वो
हूँ?
जहाँ पे रिजेक्ट होगा उसके बाकी वो फिर एग्जीक्यूट नहीं होगा, वहीं पे स्टॉप हो जाएगा।
हाँ जैसे कि एक और रुक जाओ, एक और बना लेते हैं, प्रॉमिस 3 बनाते हैं, और यहाँ पे ना यहाँ पे एक और वो करते हैं,
सेकंड वाले को रिजेक्ट करके देख लेते हैं।
प्रॉमिस 2 का पार करते हैं यहाँ पे, और प्रॉमिस 2 में क्या करते हैं, रिजॉल्व
प्रॉमिस
करते
2
हैं,
को रिजेक्ट कर लेते हैं।
और यहाँ पे प्रॉमिस 3 भेजते हैं, और प्रॉमिस 3 को रिजेक्ट करते हैं, ठीक है। राइट नाउ लेट्स जस्ट ट्राई टू सी दैट क्या आती है। देखो अभी भी एरर आ गया ना यहाँ पे अनकॉट। अगर मैं इसको रिजॉल्व करूंगा तो, अगर मैं इसको रिजॉल्व करता हूँ तो फिर सारे रिजॉल्व हो जाएंगे। ओके एक मिनट, सारी रिजॉल्व होगी ना। अगर
तो
मैं
आई
मान
गेस
लो
अनकॉट एरर तो इसलिए आई थी क्योंकि हम जो प्रॉमिस 3 यूज कर रहे हैं वो प्रॉमिस 2 में कर रहे हैं, और तब तक प्रॉमिस 3 में हमने कुछ भी डिफाइन नहीं किया क्योंकि वो उसको होस्टिंग कर दे रहा है, इसलिए आई
प्रॉमिस
गेस
3
अनकॉट एरर आई थी।
प्रॉमिस 3 नहीं, वो जो एरर आती है वो रिजेक्ट पे आती है कि रिजेक्ट, वन कॉट वाली सिंटैक्स एरर नहीं है वो। जब अगर मैं नॉर्मली प्रॉमिस बनाऊंगा ना तो वही सेम एरर
नहीं,
दिखाती है।
अनडिफाइंड का एरर नहीं आया था अभी।
हाँ हाँ, तो अभी जैसे कि मान लो इसको मैं हटा देता हूँ, यहाँ पे मैं हटा देता हूँ और इसको मैं सिंपल अगर रिजेक्ट कर देता हूँ, तो भी सेम एरर आने वाली है, अनकॉट इन प्रॉमिस। और अगर मैं इसको वो करता हूँ तो ये रिजेक्टेड दिखाएगा, अगर मैं वो देखता हूँ तो रिजेक्टेड।
ओके,
समझ में आया? मैं वो अपनी उसकी एरर नहीं थी। तो अगर मान के चलो, जैसे फिर से देख लेते हैं, मैं इसको अभी रिजॉल्व कर दे रहा हूँ तो ये सारे रिजॉल्व हो जाएंगे, सारे के सारे रिजॉल्व हो जाएंगे। वो हमने देख लिया। अब मैं इसको फिर से रिजेक्ट,
सेकंड नंबर में
सेकंड नंबर रिजेक्ट करूँ?
सेकंड वाला प्रॉमिस नहीं, मैं कह रहा हूँ सेकंड वाले में हमने रिजॉल्व एग्जिट लगाया था अभी,
एक मिनट।
9 नंबर 9 पे
हम्म,
उसको रिजेक्ट कर दे तो
इसको रिजेक्ट करके देख लेते हैं, फिर तो पहले ही
फाइल
रिजेक्ट हो जाएगी।
हाँ, तो वही चीज मुझे देखनी है कि थर्ड वाले तक पहुंचे तक।
ये स्टेटस देख लेते हैं इसकी, रिजेक्टेड आ रही है फिर से, देखो। ठीक है,
ओके,
तो
9
ये
नंबर पे
फंक्शन किसी भी चेन में अगर एक जगह रिजेक्ट होगी ना तो सारे वो रिजेक्ट हो जाती है। अगर रिजॉल्व करनी है तो सारे प्रॉमिस लेवल पे रिजेक्ट होनी चाहिए।
ओके।
ओके गाइस, सो इज इट क्लियर गाइस? कुछ भी डाउट है तो पूछ सकते हो, या
बेसिकली जो प्रॉमिस के अंदर हम प्रॉमिस यूज कर रहे हैं वो हम डायरेक्ट देन से भी कर सकते हैं, है ना? तो हमें क्योंकि सेम ही आउटपुट आ रहा है, अगर मतलब नेक्स्ट प्रॉमिस तभी चलेगा जब वो पिछला वाला प्रॉमिस सक्सेसफुल हुआ है, तो है
रिजॉल्व
ना?
हुआ।
है ना, ऐसे ही कुछ कर रहे हैं ना?
हाँ, हम लोग
हाँ,
प्रॉमिस के अंदर चेंज करें, मतलब मेरा एक सिंपल प्रॉमिस है, वो डिपेंड कर रही है किसी एक चीज पे, वो भी एक प्रॉमिस है। मतलब एक प्रॉमिस है वो दूसरे पे, मतलब मान के चलो कि तुमने
मतलब मैं
अपने
तब
तुमने तुमने अपने दोस्त से उधार लिया, ठीक है, और उसने
ऐसे
तुम्हारे
कैसे
दोस्त ने
होता
उधार लेके किसी अपने दोस्त को दे दिया उधार। अब तुम अपने दोस्त से बोल रहे भाई तू मेरा उधार दे, वो बोल रहा है ठीक है रुक जा मैं अपने दोस्त से मांगता हूँ। तो अगर या तो तुम कोई बोले नहीं मैं तो नहीं दूंगा, तो तुम्हें पैसे नहीं मिले। उसने बोला ठीक है मैं अपने दोस्त से पूछता हूँ कि वो देगा कि नहीं देगा। अगर उसने दे दिया तो वो तुमको दे देगा, और उसने नहीं दिया तो बोलेगा भाई मैं नहीं
वो
दे रहा हूँ,
रिजेक्ट हो जाएगा, तो वो
रिजेक्ट हो
रिजेक्ट हो
गया।
जाएगा ना उस जगह पे। हाँ,
तो
हाँ,
बेसिकली हम डॉट देन लगा के भी तो यही काम कर रहे होते हैं।
नहीं, डॉट देन पे हम प्रॉमिस पे ये चेक कर रहे हैं कि ये वाली प्रॉमिस के बाद मुझे क्या काम करनी है। वहां पे तो हमको ऑलरेडी पता चल गया है कि ये वाली प्रॉमिस आइदर रिजेक्ट हुई है या रिजॉल्व होगी। अब मुझे जो काम करनी है डॉट देन पे मैं वो काम करता हूँ जब वो रिजॉल्व हो जाती है। डॉट देन तब होते हैं जब पैसे मिलेंगे तो तुम पार्टी करोगे, तो तुम्हें लिखनी है कि पार्टी का क्या करना है, तो तुम डॉट देन में लगा देना। नहीं मिलेंगे तो तुम रिजेक्ट में डाल दो। तो वो तो तुम वो होने के पैसे मिलने के बाद जो काम करने हैं वो तुम डॉट देन और डॉट कैश में लगा करते हो।
बेसिकली हम यहाँ पर अभी हम नेस्टेड प्रॉमिस देख रहे थे कि वो
हाँ, यहाँ
कैसे
पे बस
काम
हम
कर रहे हैं।
नेस्टेड
नेस्टेड
प्रॉमिस देख
प्रॉमिस
रहे
में भी अगर बीच में भी कोई प्रॉमिस फेल हो रहा है तो उसके बाद के प्रॉमिस नहीं चलेंगे।
हैं, नहीं चलेंगे। हाँ, तो
ओके।
तुम्हारी वो पार्टी वाली चीज है वो नहीं होगी अगर तुम्हारे किसी दोस्त ने पैसे, अगर तुम्हारे आइदर तुम्हारे दोस्त ने नहीं दिया उसके दोस्त ने नहीं दिए, तो वही चीज है।
मतलब
ओके गाइस,
रिजेक्शन जहाँ भी होगा उसी जगह पे वो स्टॉप हो जाएगा।
यस। सो गाइस, तो
हाँ,
बेसिकली प्रोमिसेस की डिस्कवरी इसलिए हुई थी ताकि हम कॉल बैक को हटा सकें एंड देन हम ये कर सकें कि अगर मुझे कोई भी लॉजिक लिखनी है मेरे रिक्वेस्ट के बाद तो मैं वो काम कर सकूं, राइट? सो इन्होंने बोला, डेवलपर्स ने सोचा ओके नाउ वी कैन डू दैट यूजिंग डॉट देन एंड डॉट कैच। बट स्टिल इफ यू गाइस नोटिस दैट कि इफ आई एम यूजिंग डॉट देन राइट हियर, सो आई एम यूजिंग करंट डॉट देन डॉट देन डॉट देन, तो स्टिल ये भी मैं कुछ बोल रहा हूँ कि मैं देन के अंदर वो कोड लिखूंगा। मैं नहीं चाहता कि मैं देन उन लगा के कोई काम करूं। मुझे राइट आफ्टर वो पर्टिकुलर लाइन ऑफ कोड, मुझे उसकी वैल्यू, मुझे जो काम करना है मैं जस्ट तुरंत बाद उसके डायरेक्ट करूंगा, जैसे मैं नॉर्मल जावास्क्रिप्ट में करता हूँ। ये डॉट देन डॉट कैच में मुझे नहीं लगा, मुझे नहीं करनी, राइट? तो उन्होंने डेवलपर्स ने बोला कि चलो इसको कैसे सॉल्व करोगे। अब नेक्स्ट चीज बताओ, मुझे ये डॉट देन डॉट कैच लगानी नहीं है। मैं चाहता हूँ कि मैंने ये एपीआई हिट की फेच वाली, चलते हैं, रुक जाओ, फेच वाले पे फिर से यहाँ से कंसोल से देख लेते हैं, शायद मिल जाएगी। हाँ, ये मैंने फेच वाली यूज की, यहाँ से मैं हटा देता हूँ, एक मिनट रुक जाओ। ये फेच, और नेक्स्ट लाइन ऑफ कोड में मैं समथिंग ऐसे कर लूँ कि कंसोल डॉट लॉग डेटा, डायरेक्ट ऐसे मुझे नहीं चाहिए वैसे डॉट देन में लगाऊं या कुछ करूं। तो इसको बोला डेवलपर बोला भाई इसको कैसे सॉल्व करोगे, मतलब मुझे कुछ ऐसे सॉल्यूशन करनी पड़ेगी। तो फिर डिस्कवरी हुआ समथिंग नेम्ड एज एसिंक अवेट, राइट। तो फिर नाम हुआ समथिंग लाइक दैट एसिंक अवेट। तो जब हम एसिंक अवेट जब करते हैं, लाइक इफ आई जस्ट ट्राई टू डू दिस, आई मीन आई थिंक yeah, let's just copy this code and do this in scratch.js. So what the use case is that the next line at line number 10 I want to access this data. I don't want to write a dot then and do some stuff. I want to access this data. So हम लोगों ने तो developers ने discover किया something named as async await, right? So it just say that await is only valid in async function, right? So तो await जो काम करती है वो पहली बात तो async function के अंदर ही काम करती है, राइट। तो ये सिर्फ async function के अंदर काम करती है, विदाउट async function के अंदर तुम await नहीं कर सकते हो। सो एनीवन कोई बता सकता है ये await कीवर्ड का मतलब क्या होता है?
ये वेट करेगी जब तक कि फर्दर जो एग्जीक्यूशन है फेच फॉर एग्जांपल हम यहाँ पे फेच कर रहे हैं, तब तक वो वेट करेगी जब तक फेच रिक्वेस्ट एग्जीक्यूट नहीं जाती पूरी।
तो अवेट वाला जो चीज होती है ना वो वेट करती है तब तक कि जब तक कि ये अगर मैं ये एपीआई कॉल कर रहा हूँ ना तो ये वेट करेगी जब तक कि मुझे इस एपीआई से डेटा ना मिल जाए, और वो डेटा यहाँ पे इस वेरिएबल में स्टोर हो जाएगी। तो इंस्टेंटली मुझे डेटा में वो वैल्यू मिल रही है, तो मैं नेक्स्ट लाइन पे उसको एक्सेस कर सकता हूँ। तो मैं यहाँ पे नोटिस किया यहाँ पे हम कॉल बैक नहीं लगा रहे, यहाँ पे मैं कहीं डॉट देन डॉट कैच नहीं लगा रहा हूँ, तो हमने कॉल बैक से मतलब निजात ही पा लिया। आई मीन वी गेट रीड ऑफ कॉल बैक्स। So basically, to come out of those situations, we when developers discovered something named as callbacks, right? As async await. So let's just do one thing. I think set timeout or async function. Let me figure it out. And let's just set the data 1 to hey. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So let's just see that await is only valid in async function. Okay, so even this is not an async.
Inside async function we are using await outside async function.
Yes, so let's just do one thing. Let's
So
just
we need
make
to
a
create first an async function first.
async function. And let's just use this thing.
यहाँ पर dog API यूज करते हैं await के साथ।
चलो dog API यूज कर लेते हैं। अरे यार कहाँ चली गई, चलो fetch लगा लेते हैं, यहाँ तो मिल ही जाएगी। scratch.js और यहाँ पे यूज करते हैं fetch, उसके अंदर सी ठीक है। एंड यहाँ पे इसका
await आ
नाम
जाएगा। हाँ,
नाम देते हैं इसका डॉग करके, await dog function call, राइट। अब इसको क्लियर करते हैं कंसोल। नाउ लेट्स जस्ट सी।
आई गेस अभी भी एरर आएगी क्योंकि await फंक्शन के अंदर नहीं है अभी भी, हमें where data is equals to await fetch करके करना होगा। ये जो 9 नंबर 12 है ना, इसमें से डॉग फंक्शन हटा देते हैं और इस लाइन को कट करते हैं यहाँ से, और फिर हम फेच के आगे लिखते हैं।
ओके ये बोल रहे तुम ओ गॉट या ओके हाँ यस। सो द थिंग इज दैट जो अवेट जो चीज होती है वो एसिंक फंक्शन के अंदर यूज करते हैं, एंड आई वाज डूइंग इट रॉन्ग क्योंकि मैं इसको अंदर नहीं कॉल कर रहा था, मैं एसिंक फंक्शन बना के कॉल कर रहा था।
हाँ बिल्कुल।
तो ये अपन यहाँ पे कर सकते हैं। थिंक वेयर डेटा यहाँ पे कर लेते हैं fetch, और I think
ऊपर ही आएगा await where data is equal to where data is equal to await की
डेटा
वर्ड आ
इक्वल टू असिंक
जाएगा।
आएगा मेरे को लगता है।
अब ठीक है, अब चलना चाहिए ये।
नहीं ये अब चल जानी चाहिए क्योंकि everything is now fine. Okay, let's just try to run it and see.
हमने
So
फंक्शन कॉल नहीं किया।
see that we haven't called the function. Let's just do that. And it is again saying undefined basically.
डाटा को हमें उसके फंक्शन के अंदर ही प्रिंट
डॉग
कराना
को
होगा,
कंसोल में प्रिंट
मतलब
करो।
फंक्शन के
हेलो
अंदर ही।
नहीं but यार at global level we have already written it, so this should not be the case. I think that our fetch is not data is not getting destructure from the fetch response that it is getting. Let's just try to do that. I mean log here also. Okay, yeah, it is basically so we saw that it is basically giving us this response, so that's okay. So now we saw that we can use await, and the very next instant of line of code we can basically access that value, right? So that is the basically the functionality of await, and ये basically async function के अंदर यूज कर सकते हो आप। async function ही पास करनी होती है आपको, async function के अंदर यूज कर सकते हो await। तो इससे क्या होती है कि हमारा I mean we do not use any callbacks, and I can access the value right after right after that the next line of code. So these are generally used quite a lot by the developers to basically avoid callbacks and callback hells and promises.
तो रिपीट करना 1 मिनट, मैं थोड़ा सा डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया था मेरा।
ओके सो यार अवेट जो होती है, पहली बात तो वो एसिंक फंक्शन के इनसाइड तुम यूज कर सकते हो,
नहीं
और
ये जब अनडिफाइंड आया था ना उसके बाद से रिपीट कर दो।
वो अनडिफाइंड एरर इसलिए आ रहा था क्योंकि हम लोग जो ये डेटा है वो इसको लॉग कर रहे थे वहां पे, इसको यहाँ पे अगर हम लॉग कर रहे हैं तो वो प्रिंट कर रही है यहाँ पे इसकी
ये
वैल्यू।
तो कंसोल की स्पेलिंग गलत है ना, तो ये तो एक्सेस करेगा ही नहीं। कनोड लिखा हुआ है ना लाइन नंबर 11 पे।
ये वाली बाहर वाली कर रही है मेरे ख्याल से।
वही मैं कह रहा हूँ, अंदर वाली तो होगी नहीं,
ये रही।
बाहर
क्योंकि हम
वाली।
लोग यहाँ पे डेटा यहाँ पे इनिशियलाइज कर रहा हूँ यहाँ पे, इसलिए अगर मैं यहाँ पे वेयर लिखता तो वो नहीं वो अनडिफाइंड आती। सो राइट, सो इज इट क्लियर गाइस? यहाँ पे हमें वो मिल रही है यूआरएल, यहाँ पे वो मिल रही है सब कुछ। So I think today we have discussed about async, what is asynchronous, synchronous, what are callback queues, what is event loop, what are timers, web APIs, what are basically promises, what is resolve, reject, and what are async and what are await. So ये पूरी की पूरी basically वो होती है सिंगल बाइंडिंग होती है। मतलब अगर इंटरव्यू में पूछा, अगर स्टार्टिंग करा कि जावास्क्रिप्ट कौन सी लैंग्वेज है, तो मतलब मेरे साथ ऐसे हुआ था कि स्टार्ट ऐसे हुई थी कि जावास्क्रिप्ट कैसे डिफरेंट है अदर ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज लाइक जावा एंड C++। तो मैंने आंसर दिया था कि वो सिंगल थ्रेडेड है, स्क्रिप्टिंग लैंग्वेज है। सो दे आस्क मी व्हाट इज स्क्रिप्टिंग लैंग्वेज, सिंगल थ्रेडेड है तो फिर सिंगल थ्रेड का मतलब क्या होता है, और सिंगल थ्रेड है तो फिर वही ब्लॉकिंग स्टेटमेंट को कैसे हैंडल करता है। देन आई एक्सप्लेन द फ्लो ऑफ इवेंट लूप, कॉलबैक क्यूज, these worker thread. Then they ask me okay तो इसको हम solve कैसे करेंगे, callbacks भी आया था। Then they ask me what are callback hells, and then they ask how to resolve that. Then I explain using promises, then I explain using async await. So ये सिंपल एक क्वेश्चन का आंसर तुम्हारे इंटरव्यू की यहाँ तक जा सकती है, और ये इन डेप्थ अगर आप आंसर दोगे तो बस I think after that the interviewer will be knowing that this person has a pretty strong knowledge of the basic stuff. So you should be very much well versed with these questions: promises, async await, callback queues, execution contacts, and callback stack, and event loop. So these are very basic. These are the founding blocks of JavaScript. So guys, I think it's time to wrap up. अगर कोई doubt है, if you have any doubt
Hello?
of yes, Gaurav.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, how can we fetch multiple API and merge into them, merge their data as a one?
तो यार तुमको मल्टीपल कॉल्स करने पड़ेंगे। एपीआई की तो सिंगल कॉल होती है, एक सिंगल रिक्वेस्ट से तुम मल्टीपल कॉल नहीं कर पाओगे, तो मल्टीपल कॉल्स कर लो एंड देन डेटा को मर्ज कर लो ऑब्जेक्ट डाल के।
कोई वो नहीं, मैंने कहीं पर किसी ने मुझसे पूछा था तो मैंने यही बोला कि मल्टीपल, तो उन्होंने मतलब उनके
रिले कर
response-
सकते हो, एक रिले कर सकते हो, जैसे कि तुम एपीआई बनाओ एक, फिर उस एपीआई को कॉल करो और वो उस एपीआई में तुम रिले कर रहे हो उस रिक्वेस्ट को दूसरे एपीआई पे, तो तुम मल्टीपल एपीआई कॉल कर रहे हो सिंगल रिक्वेस्ट में, तो इसको रिलेइंग बोलते हैं। और एक और भी तरीका है कोई जो मुझे भी ध्यान नहीं आ रहा, जो कि मोस्ट एडवांस चीज है, बट रिलेइंग एक वो है जिसमें आप मल्टीपल कॉल्स कर सकते हो।
ओके तो मतलब ओके ठीक है, मैं देख लेता हूँ। ओके थैंक यू।
और किसी का कोई डाउट? ओके गाइस, तो एक बार अटेंडेंस दे लो, मेरा वैसे में नाम तो ध्यान है ही, बीच में कोई आया हुआ तो देख लेंगे। चलो गाइस, थैंक यू फॉर ज्वाइनिंग एंड बाय।